I'm so glad that you came. This is a very special day for us. We get to hear from people who have graduated already and kind of come back here and say, so this is what I did and this is where I am. And people who are on their way out to say, so this is how I got out or pushed out for some. And of course, honoring and projects. We had 4 of them last week and 1 more this week, very last minute. Thank you, Dr. Ribar, and thank you, Portal and Eric. And finally, of course, to honor our students who help our department. This is CS Club, WIT, and of course, those who graduated with distinction. I would like to ask Crystal Washington to come here, please. She is one of our alumnus, and she's going to share with you some of her thoughts, some of what she did here, and internships she had at Intel, and finally, your job.
So I'm Carissa. I graduated in 2012. And yeah, so I interned at Intel for a year, and I was going to go to a full-time position there. But I learned really, really quickly that that was not a right fit for me. And so I left Intel, and now I'm at Vertigo. I found out 10 minutes ago that I was speaking, so this will be a very fun talk. And yeah, so I guess I can talk a little bit about finding a company that works for you as well as you working for the company. So that was one of the major things for me in my job search that was very, very important. Like I said, I found out quite rapidly that Intel was not the place for me. The first 3 months I was there, absolutely loved it, thought it was the greatest job ever. I got to do essentially whatever I wanted to do, working in mobile apps, and I had every single piece of hardware you could think of thrown at me, and they said, hey, make this work on this, figure it out, good luck, have fun. And so it was really, really cool. Yeah, quite rapidly after that, I found the losses of working for a large company, with our lack of communication internally, and then also just being shifted around to different teams without being told. So like a brief summary of what happened to me, and I am an edge case in this scenario because I know people that have worked at Intel absolutely loved it. I got put under a different manager and wasn't told, and then my project was taken away from me by someone who was a higher pay grade. And so it's very, very cutthroat there. Some people love it and they excel, they do really, really well. Unfortunately for me, I was an intern, people forgot that I existed, and so they thought I was just a name, so that way they could keep the cubicle space and keep the income for that team. So, again, depends where you're at, but that's in a nutshell what happened to me and why I decided to leave. I then looked at other companies such as Foundry, which a lot of alumni work at, and I also looked at Vertigo, which is, again, a lot of alumni work there as well. Between the two, I had picked Vertigo just because it seemed a little more what I was looking into. Foundry, when I walked in, their desks, and it's much different now, mind you, but their desks were kind of like the setup here. And after working at a company where coworkers would take my work and claim it as their own, I really didn't like the idea of being in an office space where everybody could see my monitor and see what I was working on. That was incredibly scary to me, and it took me like 6 months to finally get over that fear that no one was going to steal my work and say, this is mine, and she's screwing it up, and we need to get rid of her, and having to fight for yourself. So that's why I had initially picked Vertigo, because they had more of kind of an enclosed workspace, and it just seemed like an environment that worked a little bit better for me. So far, I've really loved it. They've been a great company to me. If you've known me a while, you know that I have a lot of back issues, and they've been really, really good to me this past year. They've essentially just told me, work from home on days that you wake up and your back is aching, don't make the drive. So I live in Petaluma, and their office is based in Point Richmond. So it's a bit of a drive. So yeah, they set me up to work at home, and they said, no worries, just do what you can, make it work. Well, that's been really great. I've been on the same project for 1.5 years now, and a year of that I've been on the project just by myself, because everyone thought it would die. I was able to resurrect it and actually get it out to the public, which is awesome, but I still can't talk about it, so that's fun too. Yeah, like I like Vertigo because you can work on a variety of projects. You made a lot of really awesome developers. It was interesting to me because a lot of Vertigo employees were not college graduates, they were self-taught. And so it's really interesting to talk to them in their learning process and seeing how they got to learn things like that too. So yeah, that's me and my path to finding storage for me. I don't know what else to talk about, so I'll have
Any questions for Chris?
questions?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on such short notice. So our next speakers are Ortal Yadav and Eric Wolf from CS351, a project for that course. Dr. DeVar, of course, teaches CS351.
Okay, so for 351, we decided to do a MIPS emulator, and MIPS is an ISA. So, for example, Intel has their x86 or cell phones we have an ARM, and what an ISA is your code, whatever code you run, is converted to an assembly. And then the computer only understands the actual machine code, so the assembly maps to the machine code. So an example is this add I right here, this line. That's MIPS code, and all it does is sets the register T0 to the value 5. And then the machine code that corresponds to it would look something like this. This I just made up, but it's just zeros and ones. Computers only understand zeros and ones. So our emulator supports 31 instructions, which is add I. Has the 32 registers. We have the stack, and we implemented syscalls that allow you to do some interactivity. We have a way to step or run, so you can easily debug your MIPS code, and 270 unit tests. So the unit tests, I'll show you guys that later. It's really nice, and I would highly recommend whatever projects you work on to use unit tests. This is just a screenshot, and these are the instructions we support. So now we'll go into a demo.
Okay, so the first thing you can do is load some of our demo code. There's some interactive one. One of the most interesting ones is just the hello world code. So this loads characters or numbers ASCII codes into registers, and then loads them into the stack also, and will eventually print them out to the screen using one of the syscalls. So just run it first, and you can see that it printed out hello world in the log. And if you want to just step through it, it's kind of hard with the small screen, but you can see the green is the line that was just ran, and the gray is the next line to be run. And then it shows you what changed in the registers of the stack. So that T0 changed. So as you see, 72 was loaded into T0. And you can step through, and it'll just keep showing you what's changing.
And also notice that it's populating with characters over there.
Yeah, so in the stack, it will show you the characters. You can also just jump right to a line. So if you want to just go back a line, you have
which line?
I was just gonna I can keyboard, I swear. So line 1's actually a comment, so it jumped us to line 2, but you can jump right to a specific line and then run that one, and it will change SP to that. You can show relative addresses for your stack pointer. Let's see, it seems kind of screwed up because the screen is so small.
Okay, so that's another example we have. Interactive one. So the way we were able to do this is you'll notice down here, there's like 240 lines of code. So you'll see syscalls, and we just copied the way that Mars, which is also an emulator for MIPS, does their syscalls. So V0 is going to have a value, and then depending on that value, it'll do something different. So, or for example, print string. So if I run this example, we can optimize it for speed. So, what year was I born? Let's say 1900. And it will tell me what my age is. And you'll notice these dialogues are all caused by the syscalls. Then I can go, yes, I'll try again. So it's doing a little math and then just printing out. And then finally, I'll just show you the unit testing, which is what I would recommend everyone to do. So you'll see we have 269 assertions right here. And the way this works is for each function in your program, you're going to write a little test, which looks like this line right here, equal. So for example, we have the function me.getRegister value of the t-type register, and we tell it what we expect the value to be based on how we changed it. So we have 270 of these, and the advantage is no matter what changes we make to the application, we can pretty much guarantee that we aren't breaking anything, because every time we make a change, we just run this, and it'll let us know exactly which part is broken. So right now, the green is showing us that all the tests are passing. So I highly recommend that.
Yes, that's it. It's really nice because you don't just you just go to GitHub and clone it, and you can just open an index.html file and just run it. So no libraries or anything you have to install. It was inspired kind of by the Python tutor. Yeah, I came in and showed us that. First time I saw that was in Colloquium. Any questions?
Is the text interpreted directly, or is it assembled into binary code, which is then executed?
It's parsed with regular expressions, so we grab all of the pieces of a specific line, and then we have functions that it's mapped to that we emulate with. So it's really just the text. It doesn't.
Any other questions?
Questions?
What does MIPS stand for?
It's a long story. So it can be millions of instructions per second, which is a kind of flawed performance metric, but really it's just the name of the company that makes the processors that run this.
Questions? Excellent.
If we're gonna let students in the 351 to use this.
Yeah.
I feel
I'll
bad.
host it. I'm so nice. I will host it.
I feel bad because now people are going to be given longer MIPS programs to write.
So compared to this, what you've done, how hard is it not to do Python 2?
To be honest, I rarely use Python tutor, but I like Python tutor. I remember the one thing about Python tutor is you couldn't do libraries and stuff, which is why I really use it, but obviously can't in this either.
Isn't Python Python tutor also actually executing Python scenes?
Yeah, and then if I remember right, you just hooked it straight up to Python.
Yeah, so here we're never actually running MIPS, but we're just, if MIPS has this instruction, we do the same thing in JavaScript.
Would you guys wrote that in JavaScript then?
Yeah. So it's all offline for that.
The next speaker, presenter is Matt Hartwig. So Matt is going to share with them. Matt is on his way out last semester. So he has a very good position to look back, see how it all worked out or didn't work out for him and where he's going.
So I think majority of you in this room know me. So I was reflecting on this the other day. I thought about my first day at Sonoma State and coming into my first class, which was Dr. Ledine's 242 class. And we met in Stevenson, and I didn't know a soul in the room. I didn't know anybody. The only thing that I heard was Maddie was talking about how she had just taken a calculus class with the same professor that I had at SRJC. And that was like my one, like, oh, I could know this person. And it's I know, it was funny, but that totally came to mind last night, Maddie. So, but on top of that, I sat in my last lecture with Dr. Ravi yesterday, and you know, it's just amazing to me, this whole experience that I've had, and how this program has really helped prepare me for my future. I've also been involved in a lot of different things on campus. From day one, before I had even stepped foot in the class, Dr. Revoir gave me a job grading and being a lab assistant for 115. I had never stepped foot in a class at Sonoma State yet. But because I was proactive, she gave me that position because she was in need. It was the first semester that Python was being taught, and it was new territory for the program. So I said, I'm up for that task. And that started a long chain. Throughout my entire career here at Sonoma State, I've had one job or another. Dr. Revoir has been my employer for every semester except for this one that I've been here. I've done a variety of projects with her, well, not projects, but, you know, 115 TA, and then as well, I also worked on the ORNL team for a year. That's also what I did my senior capstone research in. Andrew Levisi, I also worked for him for a year. He's the information security officer for Sonoma State. He tries to keep all of your data secure so that people aren't taking it and doing bad things with it. He works very hard. It was very amazing. I often would say that Andrew was, nobody take offense to this who's a professor here, but Andrew was my best class that I took at this school, because no matter what class I was in, Andrew is also an alumni, by the way. He graduated with a mathematics degree, but he also took many computer science courses many years ago. No matter what class I was taking, I could always go to him and say, hey Andrew, can we talk about this? And we would sit down for half an hour, and we would talk about whatever I was doing in a said class. And it was amazing because I could bounce ideas off of him, and it was just like having another professor. So, you know, not only did I have a great job where I was helping him to protect your data, I also had the ability to bounce ideas off of an incredibly smart guy. Part of the reason why I'm talking about those things first, and not what I did this summer and not what I'm doing now, is because I want to encourage you that there are opportunities on campus to grow your abilities. Take those opportunities. If you hear that Dr. Revoir needs a research assistant for her Oak Ridge research, she's pushing it really hard right now, and you think that you really want to be involved in that, make sure she knows. Or if Dr. Ravi is doing research in theory of computation and you think you want to be involved in that, or handwriting recognition, go and talk to him. we have professors here who are doing neat things, and a lot of the time they don't plaster it on the wall and say, hey, I'm doing this thing. But you can be involved, and that's only going to help you prepare yourself for your career and for being a stand-up student in this program. One of the things that recently I told Dr. Kuchesh is that I don't just want to leave. Just because I'm done now, just because I'm graduating, doesn't mean that I want to be, the lights are, just because I'm done here with my education doesn't mean that I want to be done with this program. I want to give back. I know he's starting a mentorship program, something that I want to be involved in. This is something I don't think he's talked to students about much yet, but it's something that's happened. He has come to alumni and said, hey, we want you to come back and give to our students, help them learn what's going on in the industry so that they can better prepare themselves for the real world. So this last summer, I had the opportunity to also go to Vertigo, which is where Carissa was at. One of the reasons I decided to apply to Vertigo is Carissa was the Computer Science Club president when I first started, and she had just gotten her job there, or at some point got her job there, while also at Intel. And so I got to hear her stories about being at Intel and how she came to the decision to go to Vertigo and all that. And then as she started working there, I stayed in communication with her. I also became friends with a few other employees, and there are people who were here at the time, like Matt Carrier, who's teaching a Unix class right now for us. He's also giving back to Sonoma State students. All these people who I know who work at Vertigo have nothing but amazing things to say about the company. And so I said to myself, I want to work at that company. I want to work there where people are doing cool stuff that they can't tell you anything about. Because, I mean, Carissa and I are under so many different NDAs that we can't tell you anything about what we do for the most part. So that's a little bit sad because those of you who know me know that I like to talk about stuff. So I can't tell you anything. So, but anyway, so I said, I want to go to that company. So I started early. In December, B and a bunch of people, B is our HR person, B came out and with every SSU alumni that Vertigo has, which by the way, the company is, I believe, 65 and 5 employees are Sonoma State alumni, 4 of which have been club officers. So, and the one who isn't is one of the biggest go-getters I know anyway. So, Sonoma State is, Vertigo is incredibly happy with all of the Sonoma State alumni that they have. Vertigo wants you to come and work there if you are a go-getter and if you want to come and work for Vertigo. It's a great company. During my internship, I was given the opportunity to work on a project that nobody in the company had worked on, and on a platform that nobody in the company had worked on. And I said to myself in the very beginning when I first started, I said, look, I'm going to come and I'm going to bust my butt so that this company says that they want to keep me around because I want to work here. Now, there were other interns that were there, and at one point my boss came to me and said, hey Matt, it's not a competition between you and the other interns. I said, it's not about being in competition with the other interns, it's about being in competition with myself and proving to myself that I can do this. And so anyways, I've got to work on this really cool project that I can't even tell you anything about. And, but it did get to go to a major television network, and it did get to be shown to their people, and they did love it. And I can't tell you anything more about it than that. So, so anyhow, Vertigo decided that they loved me and that they wanted to keep me around. And I'm glad. They offered me a full-time position, but how it went down is they offered me an hourly position for the semester because I still had one class where I had to come hang out with Dr. Ravi for the semester, and you know, it was great. But they gave me that opportunity. It's kind of a rarity that it happened, but it did. They really wanted me to come. And so I went and I've worked there this past semester, and I've got to work on real projects with real teams with another SSU alum, and it's been fantastic. So I've learned many things, and I want to start giving back those things to you guys, or the new people who are up and coming. I know a lot of people in this room are already getting ready and starting to think about moving forward. One of the things I want to leave you with is, you know that it's time to start thinking about either an internship or a job, no matter where you are. You know, it's time to start thinking about it. Maybe you're still a year out because maybe it's your freshman year, or your junior or your sophomore year. But if you're a junior, now's the time to think about internships. Now, like now, in December, right now, it's time for you to start looking around. Because if you start the communication with these companies, they're gonna see that you're proactive, and they're gonna wanna communicate with you. We're in demand right now, but that doesn't mean we're guaranteed a job anywhere we like. You have to show them that you are a hard worker. Otherwise, they're gonna say, well, I don't know, I got this other guy who's applying, maybe I'll take him instead. So, but start thinking about internships now. And if you're graduating at the end of spring, start thinking about where you want to work now. You need to get out there. You need to start applying for a job so that you can start working. This is only the preparatory period for the rest of your career. You will walk out of here and know almost nothing. You will walk into the job, and they expect that. Don't think that they don't expect that. You will walk in, and they will go, okay, great, we're gonna start training you from the very base and move up. You've gained core foundational skills here, but in the grand scheme of things, this industry changes so fast. You need to be able to jump on to new technologies as they come out even. So I hope this is encouraging to you guys, and you know, if you guys are interested in an internship at Vertigo, you can email me or Carissa. My email address is mhardwick@vertigo.com. Carissa's is carissa@vertigo.com. And you know, we'll definitely pass your resume on to B, who's our HR rep. You know, we would love to have you guys if you want to come. So that was my experience, and hopefully it helps you guys in yours.
So there is life after SSU, as we hear. Thank you so much to all the speakers. I know that mostly this was kind of on a moment's notice, and I am grateful for you for the experience that you share with our students. It's sometimes really hard being in 350, 450, 450, and 460, 454, and then say, oh, so where would this end? It eventually does come to an end, as it seems, and really exciting jobs in front of you. I would want to just talk about business just for a few minutes and then switch to our next note. As far as the wait lists are concerned, CS252 unfortunately is going to remain where it is. And that also goes to CS355 and CS370. We've kind of upped the limits on those two courses, so, and the wait list already has run, so whoever is in the course is going to remain in the course. Their chance of opening more sections of those two courses is not very good at this time. CS242, on the other hand, still has a chance, so we're working on that. So that course still is, we might be able to open a new section. I would put that at the probability of that at about 70%, 60 to 70%. It is definitely on the list of decision makers. We know about it, and that's where we stand. So, any questions? Yes.
What about 470?
470, we will try to accommodate it. that's last course. And 415, we have accommodated just about everyone who needs it to graduate. And that's also 470 also is one of those courses. You need it for graduation to get it. Okay. Questions? Okay. So let me invite Dr. Rivar here to hand out appreciation notes or awards to the club members, the CS Club and WIX.
Yeah. So this is the time when we recognize the club officers for the CS Club and WIX for 2012-2013. And Dr. Kushesh is the CS Club advisor, I'm the WIX advisor. And the officer groups were just totally the same. So we figured we'd just do this once, and he thought y'all might be sick of him talking, so it's my job. So let me recognize these officers. So first of all, the president of both clubs last year is Christy Yost. Two certificates. And I guess stay up here? Yeah. And the vice president of both clubs was Matt Hardwick. The secretary of both clubs was Maddie Height. It's a very efficient year for the student club. The treasurer of both clubs was Tim Doty, who's not here today, but we have one more officer. Joe Lee Nazer was the CS Club only creative specialist.
Graduation distinction. So that's our next one up. Just a few words about graduation distinction. That's what we do just before you graduate last semester when we get all your grades in. Very quickly, it really is based, the decision of graduates with distinction is based on three different criteria. One is your GPA has to be 3.0 or above. Two, that you've done something that transcends every single course. So the knowledge of extended the knowledge across courses as opposed to just having applied to one course. And the third item is that you have helped your fellow students here at Sonoma State. And that help is in many different forms. For example, tutoring other students, or your members of these clubs, the club officers. Those are huge services to our department. So I'm saying this simply because I really want you to, if you are close to that qualification, I really want you to work hard to get these items under your belt. And we give you the opportunity to do that, so talk with us. So this year, we, of course, we have two students who graduated with distinction. And this is those who graduate this semester, not this year. Of course, it's this year, but we will have the same awards next semester for those who graduate in the spring. Of the two, one is Tim Doty, who is not here, but I want to acknowledge him. He has worked very hard for us, and he's worked with Dr. Ivar for a number of years, and of course in the club that you just saw, really very appreciative of all of what he has given to our department. And it's my pleasure to present the next one to Matthew Parker. Thank you so much. So I want to actually take a picture with Matthew and the faculty member. If you would please come up here, faculty.
Can't have
Thank you. Faculty to remain here, please. So just a note that you do know this. 2 weeks ago, we had our first alumni reunion. I say first in a long time. We've had it before, right, Dr. Levine? Dr. Levine was in charge of that effort and put a tremendous amount of time in that effort. And of course, Liz Meyer was extremely helpful in that process. It just was an incredible success. We had about 160 of them now in Sally Tomatoes for a brunch on Sunday. Really an incredibly rewarding experience and event. It was just remarkably nice and good. So I said this for a number of things. One is that I would like for you guys to participate in it in the future years after you graduate and stay in touch with us. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the faculty for all the hard work that they do for our students and for the department and for the school and for the university. They do teach, of course, they do see them in that capacity. What you don't see is behind the scenes and what they do. I just talked about Dr. Levine's, for example, efforts, and the committee members, the committee that is faculty participating, the committees as in departmental committee, school committee, university committee. A tremendous amount of work behind the scenes. That's what really keeps the university moving forward. That's what keeps the decision makers really making the right decisions, the participation of our faculty. And of course, it's the fact that we participate in these committees puts our department on the map. I'm grateful for all the effort, and I want to thank all of you. And of course, we have our sysadmin, Roger. He's the guy who breaks the systems. I couldn't possibly do without that. Really appreciative of all his efforts. He keeps 3 labs alive, 24. 24, you guys don't know much, perhaps much about it. It's a lab that's totally dedicated to CS 101. And then 25 and 28, and of course what's behind that whole thing is the server room. Some of you have seen it, a scary place, and I must admit, but that's where, of course, the servers reside, if you can ever get to one. I really am appreciative of all the effort, I and all the faculty, of all the work that you put into it, and we know that it's a lot of work. We thank you for it. And of course, the person who's really in charge of the department is the person who sits in the front desk, Liz Meyer. We're so glad that she's with us. Really has been a tremendous help this year to all of us. She came aboard very quickly and very quick learn, and everything seems to be under control. That's what she tells me. We're really grateful for all your help and all what you do for us and for the students. Thank you.
anybody outside the department know that? Because they'll steal.
So much truth. Just so we know, I'll stop. I know that some of you know where who Corey Oates is and where she is. She's in the dean's office. And prior to Corey, we had Jen Osset, who also went through, she's in the biology department, so through the dean's office. Speaking of the dean, Dr. Lynn Stauffer, a computer scientist and the dean of the School of Science and Technology. I want to thank her, even though she's not here, for the fact that she pushed to give our department a new position. So we have a new tenure track position. We already have advertised for the position, and we have 26 applications. And that actually the applications became available to us yesterday. So what we will do the rest of this week and next week is to go through the applications and come up with a short list for phone interviews, and then after the phone interviews, campus interviews. So if we choose those that we want to bring to campus for a campus interview at the end of next week or the beginning of the week following it, and we will have campus interviews in January. And of course, you will hear more about that from. Any last words?
Can I just put in a plug for like going to those talks when they happen? As the last person who was hired via this process, I got some awesome questions from students at my talk, and I was like, wow, undergrads, all right. And that's a huge part of the reason I came here. So please bring the next person here.
I will say the same thing.
And again, you'll hear from us. I'll put out the schedule once we have it, and once we know who and when, we will let you know. Other remarks by the faculty, Roger, Liz? Let's start working on your final exams. Thank you so much.